Hey there, history buffs and beach bums. Let's dive into the Maldives, shall we? Picture this, turquoise water, white sand beaches, basically screensaver material. Located smack dab in the Indian Ocean, these islands are a dream vacation spot, but they're also steeped in history, dating back centuries. Who knew paradise had such deep roots? Now when we talk about the Maldives, we're not talking about one big island. Think more like a giant jigsaw puzzle of over 1,100 tiny islands grouped into 26 atolls. It's like Mother Nature decided to sprinkle some magic across the ocean, creating a nation literally scattered across the sea. And scattered they are, folks. We're talking a whopping 90,000 square kilometers, over 35,000 square miles of ocean, but only about 298 square kilometers, 115 square miles, of actual land. That's like finding a parking spot in New York City, small, precious, and something to fight for. But this unique geography hasn't stopped the Maldives from becoming a cultural melting pot. Over centuries, it's been a crossroads for traders, explorers, and even the occasional pirate or two. Probably not Johnny Depp though, more's the pity. So grab your snorkel and your history books because we're going deep. So who were the OGs of the Maldives? The first to call this island paradise home? Well, nobody's rocking up with a time machine anytime soon, but the best guess is that people first landed here around the 5th century BCE. That's a long time ago. We're talking chariots, not cars. These early settlers were probably from South India and Sri Lanka. They were drawn by, you guessed it, fish. These guys were the original live off the land, or, well, the sea types. We're talking expert fishermen, skilled boat builders, and probably pretty good at getting a tan too. Life wasn't all sunshine and coconuts, though. These early Maldivians had to be resourceful. They built houses on stilts to deal with the whole living on tiny islands that might flood thing. And they became masters of using every part of the coconut. Seriously, these people could probably build a house out of coconut shells and fishing line if they had to. Over time, they developed their own unique culture, language, divehi in case you're wondering, and traditions. They even had their own early form of government with local chiefs keeping things in check. Think of it as a very chill, beach-themed version of a kingdom. Okay, so the Maldives are chilling, fishing, building sandcastles, and generally living the island dream. Then come the Europeans, because, well, history. First up, the Portuguese, sailing in with their fancy ships and even fancier hats in the 16th century. They were all about that trade life, and the Maldives, strategically located in the middle of the Indian Ocean, was perfectly positioned to make some serious cash. The Portuguese weren't exactly the friendliest house guests. They tried to impose their religion, Christianity, and their rules, which didn't sit well with the locals. Imagine someone crashing your beach party and demanding you swap your coconut cocktails for grape juice. Not cool, Portugal, not cool. After about a century and a half of Portuguese shenanigans, the Maldivians had enough. They teamed up with a neighboring kingdom, Go Team, and kicked the Portuguese out. Talk about a beach cleanup. But their moment of freedom was short-lived. The Dutch, those masters of windmills and wooden shoes, swooped in during the 17th century. They were a tad more easygoing than the Portuguese, content to let the locals do their thing as long as the trade kept flowing. However, the Dutch couldn't resist playing a little king of the hill. They made the Maldives a protectorate, which is a fancy way of saying, sure, you're technically in charge, but we're calling the shots. Section 4. Freedom. Well, mostly, navigating independence. Fast forward to the 18th century, and the British are the new kids on the colonial block. They inherited the Maldives from the Dutch like a hand-me-down empire, and for the most part, kept the protectorate thing going. The British were more interested in tea and cricket than conquering the world, at least, that's what they wanted everyone to think, so they left the day-to-day running of the Maldives to the local sultanate. Think of it like a landlord who only shows up to collect the rent. But even under British rule, the Maldivian spirit of independence never truly died. After World War II, the whole world was going through some major changes. Empires were crumbling and people were demanding freedom. The Maldives was no different. Finally, in 1965, the Maldives gained full independence from Britain. Cue the fireworks and the coconut confetti. The newly independent nation decided to stick with what they knew best: peace, love, and attracting tourists with those amazing beaches. They became a republic in 1968, ditching the Sultanate but keeping their chill vibes. Section 5, Sun, Sand, and Sustainability Struggles, Modern Maldives. So, the Maldives is independent, the beaches are pristine, the fish are biting. What could go wrong? Well, this is the 21st century, and even paradise has its problems. First up, tourism. It's great for the economy. I mean, who doesn't love a souvenir coconut? But all those resorts and tourists put a strain on resources. Remember that whole tiny islands thing? Yeah, space is at a premium. Then there's climate change. Rising sea levels are a huge threat. We're talking about a country where the highest point is only about 2.4 meters, or 8 feet above sea level. That's shorter than most NBA players. If the oceans keep rising, the Maldives could literally disappear beneath the waves. But hey, Maldivians are a resilient bunch. They're tackling these challenges head-on, investing in renewable energy, promoting sustainable tourism, and even looking into building floating cities just in case. They're also becoming a voice for other island nations facing similar threats. Because when your entire country is at risk of becoming the next Atlantis, you learn to speak up. Section 6. Paradise Preserved, Facing the Future on the High Seas. So, what's next for the Maldives? Well, if history is any indication, it'll be a wild ride. This tiny nation has been through a lot. Colonization, independence, the rise of tourism, and now the very real threat of climate change. But through it all, the Maldivian people have shown incredible resilience, adaptability, and a deep connection to their island home. They've proven that even a small nation can make a big impact on the world stage. The future of the Maldives is uncertain, but one thing's for sure. They're not going down without a fight. They're on the front lines of climate change, fighting for their very existence, and their story is a powerful reminder that we're all in this together. Section 7. Why the Maldives Matter, a tiny nation's big history. So why should we care about the Maldives? It's just a bunch of tiny islands, right? Well, wrong. The Maldives might be small, but their story packs a big punch. Think about it. They've got it all: ancient history, intrepid explorers, colonial drama, hard-won independence, and a front-row seat to the biggest challenge facing humanity: climate change. Their history is a reminder that even paradise has its struggles. It's a story about resilience, adaptation, and the power of the human spirit to overcome adversity. And in a world facing increasingly complex challenges, those are lessons we can all learn from. So next time you see a picture of the Maldives, don't just see the beaches and the overwater bungalows. See the history, the culture, and the fight for survival that make this tiny nation so much more than just a pretty face.